Hey guys, welcome back. So review about this exercise bike from Everlast, and you can get almost the exact same thing under different brands as well. And so I'll put links down below to the closest to this that I can find, because it's possible I won't find the exact same model number as the one I got here. This is fairly cheap as well. It's very quiet, so it's one with magnets there. So no matter how stiff you make that via the adjustment wheel, it's going to be really quiet, which was important for me because, I don't want to bother my cat or the neighbors, or if I've got a guest sleeping over or whatever, or if I'm watching a movie, I don't want to have loads of noise because that's going to be really annoying. The seat that came with this was pretty much the same as other bicycle seats, roughly, a little bit sort of fatter, a little bit wider, but the same sort of normal shape that you'd see on a bicycle seat. And for me, those are not comfortable. So I made my own seat for this, which wasn't that difficult, but it did take a little bit of know-how and some hand tools and stuff. But, fairly simple. An old jacket, the leather from an old jacket, some scrap pieces of foam, and a piece of wood underneath. So it wasn't that difficult. So this unscrews, and I've tied a string to it so I don't lose it when I, put this away in the cupboard. And now I've got quite short legs, so I did shorten this, but most people I don't think will need to. And it's not that I couldn't reach that, because I could use it fine. I used it for 2 days without, just the normal length that this was. But I found that if I shortened it, I think, by only about that much. So it was, so it was the difference between that and that, which just made it slightly better for me, for my uses. I think most people, probably wouldn't have to do that, because even for me, with short legs, I found it an okay distance. So cutting that wasn't that difficult. It was just with a little handsaw, I think, that I got at the pound store. So even though it's metal and you'd think it'd be difficult, it's not that hard. Actually, drilling metal is normally more difficult. So that goes in there, and this thing, I like that this can fold up pretty nice and easy, and it doesn't lock when it's in the open position, so it just holds its shape sort of as it is. But you don't have a place to put this back in once it's open. But when it's closed, then it has a little location where that can, where that little thing goes in, so it doesn't move. And I really like that it can stay standing on its own without you having to, whatever. I wouldn't leave it like that, because especially if you have kids or pets or whatever, it's not that this wouldn't be able to fall, because it would. But I like that, it can at least for a second stand up on its own. When you put it in the cupboard, it can stand up on its own a little bit. But when it's in the cupboard, even though it can stand on its own, I tie it with a piece of string to something. I wouldn't, in any situation, leave it standing on its own, folded. So, the other modification I've done to this is I've moved the handles so that instead of being over here, one there and one there, I moved them so they're there. So I did have to drill the holes here a little bit, which, once again, wasn't that difficult. And then I have a piece of wood that I made, fairly simple. And that just sits in there, so I can put a keyboard there. I wouldn't put my laptop on this. I wouldn't, I wouldn't trust an expensive laptop on that. But I do have a computer that, just has a normal keyboard and whatever. So I can put a keyboard on there and a mouse there, and I can use this with a big computer. And at low power, I find that I can do computer work, typing, whatever, at low, whatever you want to call it, at low friction, not be distracted by the fact that I'm pedaling. And I actually have a video showing that. I'll have a link to that down below. I have a video showing myself using it. So then now with the new seat, I find it really nice and comfortable. I did use the old seat for a couple of days, but I didn't like it. So the pedals did have a little loop that's removable. I don't find it needed at all, but it did come with a little loop that goes on there. They are self-leveling, which is nice. And like I said, it's quiet and near silent, I would say. So here it is at minimum friction, and that way it's just, it's exercise. You're moving your body, but it's quite easy to do. It's great for warming up, great for getting some exercise while you're typing. But at high power, this thing goes really, really sort of hard. And this is coming from someone who has been mountain biking since he was a kid and is 27 now and still skateboards pretty much every day. So big, beefy legs. And I find that at maximum, this is still quite a good amount of exercise. So, within a few minutes, you'd be sweating your ass off on that. So When I'm watching a movie, I'll set it somewhere in the middle. So, you know, not too easy and not too difficult. So that way I can go through the entire movie or 2 movies while still going on this. And within about 2 movies, I'll go through about 1,000 calories, which is, I mean, according to this, which I think is a really, really good goal. And I love having this. It's a really good motivational tool, I think, because when you see that you've burned 1,000 calories a day, you're like, oh my God, I have to do that tomorrow as well. So, I mean, it's really good for motivation, for telling you how much you've done. I love that the reset button doesn't reset it unless you hold the reset button, because otherwise, every time you'd go to press the mode button and you press reset by accident, then you go back to 0. So you have to hold it for, I guess, about 2, 3, 4 seconds, and then it'll reset. Switching between the modes, we've got a scan mode, which automatically skips through them. We've got a speed, so that obviously is a really rough estimation because there's no gears right there. So it's not an actual speed, it's just some sort of guesstimate. And then it's got a distance, once again, because there's no gears on there. And I don't think this measures this thing as a gear. I think it's literally just counting the pedal spins. It can show you calories burned. We've got a pulse, so underneath it's 2 pieces of metal there. When your hands are on them, then it shows a little pulsing BP thing at the top of the screen, and then it tells you the pulse, which is a really cool feature, I think. And yeah, and that's it. And then it's got a total time spent, and then if you stop pedaling for about 2 seconds, it stops counting. And then it'll start counting again when you stop pedaling. And this thing turns on automatically, so you don't need to bother turning this on or off or anything like that. It's just completely automatic, and the batteries last for ages as well. I've had the batteries in there for I don't know how long. So, and it just runs on, I think, 2 or 3 or 4 AA's, whatever it is. So basically, when you come to this, stop pedaling, this turns on and stays on. So that's nice. And when you get this, make sure you plug the cables in correctly, because if you don't, then it won't count anything. There's 2 different cables that need to plug into the correct place. And what else? Overall build quality is good, really enjoyable to use, not too difficult to move around, but still a good overall size for an adult, I think. I don't regret this purchase even slightly, and for me it is important to the fact that it can fold up quite compact and fit in the cupboard, because for me all my exercise stuff, because I use this same room for, you know, I sleep here and I make videos here and whatever. So here, for example, my punch bag is really, really lightweight, so it's super easy for me to unclip it from there. It takes like 1 second and then put it in the cupboard. And still is really, really nice to use because it's filled with really high density foam. So works really well, but it's lightweight. And actually the only thing that I leave in the middle of the room sort of thing is the 2 weights, because that reminds me to lift weights every day, which I think is quite a nice trick. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I hope you found that useful. I'll have links to the thing down below, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!